this would be interesting to analyze in concrete, but
Yeah,
I do see that they went for a much
something
more
more
standard. Yes.
yeah, as expected. Yeah. And now we have a kind of a Queen's Gambit accepted reverse. When I was black, I loved to play the Queen's Gambit accepted as black to neutralize white's opening. And the position we actually have on the board is almost, the model that you want in Queen's Gambit accepted. You toss in bishop e2, you toss in castles a3, and you think as black, hey man, I'm happy, right? As white, you want an advantage. You don't want just a solid. has achieved an advantage. I think black basically with knight c6 and rook d8 and d5 and lots of trades has basically come out of the opening happy.
All right. Well, we've spent quite a bit of time on this one.
Sure.
But back in a very familiar structure. This is also an opening that commonly seen on the other side.
Yes.
White gets this from English openings, or when black takes on c4, and you can play d3, d6 and a5, or as Yasser pointed out, rook d8 and d5. But black's development is not being challenged, and you have a lot of flexibility. So normally speaking, it's considered pretty equal.
I would say that both players at this exact moment are nice in their comfort zone. They feel that they're happy. Now let's take a look at some other first round matchups.
So the next one, let's look at Aronian against Ding, the first Chinese player to ever make the candidates against the reigning World Cup champion, and Armenia's #1. We implemented flags, Yasser, for our subscribers. They can show support for the players. So that's something people can use. Also a way of supporting the channel. And yeah, let's dive into that one.
Okay, just pulling up my wonderful Excel spreadsheet between the two players. They have played 11, count them, 11 games against one another. Levon Aronian, are you ready for this? Has lost 3 games, never defeated Ding Liren, and 8 draws. That is to say that Ding Liren has a 63% score going into this match, into this tournament against Levon. So Ding has been a difficult opponent for Levon. And we got this Mechanis variation of the English. I love this as white. I actually know what I'm talking about.
Here. That's even worse for me, because I don't. Regarding the head-to-head, they played in the World Cup. I think it went to tiebreaks, and Aronian did win, I think, in the semis or finals. Finals, right?
No, it was it was the finals, right? Because it was MVL.
Who was in semis?
Levon. Ooh,
Levon?
What a match.
Yeah, well, we did that. We called that one. That was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Levon was asked about his record against Ding Liren, and he said he thinks it was he wasn't taking Ding seriously in previous matches. He underestimated him, and that was the result of his -3 score.
So he's taking him seriously now, right?
Ding is a very solid player. Definitely, it was possible Levon was overpressing in those games, but that was his reasoning, and he feels like now that Ding is a more established player in the top 10, top 15, and a candidate now, that he's going to take him a bit seriously, and he feels like there's no psychological barrier. It was a result of let's say his own ambitions that caused some of those defeats. But here he's going for the throat again, right?
Right. Well, a very unexpected approach, at least for me, because I had always gone for the more classical style. Yeah, take, d4. Yeah, this is all good. And I had lots of games in this exact position. b6 was not the most popular move. The most popular move had always been c5. So b6, I don't say it had a bad reputation or anything like that. It was thought that after b6, bishop e2, bishop b7, bishop f3, the consensus at those times was that white gets a freer game. He gets to go queen a4 check. Let's say, I don't know, bishop d6, just picking a move. Queen a4 check, c6, moves like castles and rook b1. of course, White's got these double pawns, but there was some pressure on the queen side, and it was felt that White had a pull. We'll just leave it at that. So B6 never got really popular. Now, having
By
said
pull, you
that,
mean in this case more like
an
the
advantage.
pull because of this lean development and sort of initiative, right? It's a dynamic pull more than a static one.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's tactical themes like C4, C5, where you get to plant a rook on B7, just kind of a long-term pawn sacrifice that a lot of black players just didn't want to deal with. It. Like, no, that's not why I play chess. I don't want to sit there and defend the position. But Levon's approach was completely different. Against B6, he did something I'm really not that familiar with. H4. Like,
people could guess this if Levon doesn't play the main line. He's trying to innovate, and pushing the H pawn is a way that a lot of players these days try to catch their opponent off guard. I mean, there's a real reason behind it, but it's happening a lot more now than ever in almost in any sort of dynamic line. That okay, let's push my H pawn. It's going to be double edged, but it's a way to sort of try to get a new position, and in this case, Yasser. Okay, maybe it doesn't happen here. Sometimes you have openings, right, where let's say a move like H6, someone's like, I don't want to allow Bishop G5. In some lines, you can still play Bishop G5 anyways.
Exactly.
Because of this. I don't know about this specific one because it's a lot of material, but you can envision that this idea actually comes about in a few different lines.
I suspect this is good for White, but you play a move like H6 to stop Bishop G5, and the guy plays it anyway. It's like, I
want to trap
the rook, right?
The rook.
Yeah.
But okay, that's sometimes a theme, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Tactics.
So Bishop B7. Well, do you think this is the right approach? Ding is a very solid player, and this is how he's lost before. I mean, Aronian. What do you think of this approach? It's definitely when Aronian does well, it's in positions like these. When he's in form, he loves this. He likes having double C pawns because of the other things it affords, like the type of positions that usually reach it. Let's say some Nimzo lines, or for example, Levon likes to play against the Grunfeld, which not a lot of players do. Like to do, but it allows White to pick his development and have some flexibility there. A lot of sidelines, a lot of tricky sidelines. So Queen F5, Bishop D3.
Well, let's just say I'm casting a suspicious eye towards White's play. It's not exactly what you would call sound or solid chess, H4 and King F1. But on the other hand, this is the start of the tournament, right? You really need to find your form or what kind of form you're in. And if there's ever a time that you can really go a little bit risky, it's early. Things might pay off because the other guy, he just wants to play solid as well. But a key question, Eric, is we understand that White has played the move H4. He's lost his castling privileges in order to get into tempi. He's played Bishop G5 and Bishop D3. Yay, very, very, very nice. My question, Eric, is why did Ding not play Bishop E4 on move 10? Yeah.
Because of this move.
Okay, queen back to G6, and then H5. Got it. Okay, that's cute. And now I gave up the light squares, and I'm going to suffer, no question. Yeah. Okay, oops. That was it. Yeah, that's a big oops. I didn't see H5 for some reason. I did check out G4, yay, but H5 was blind. Okay, that answers that one. Nice tactic.
Well, I'm just trying to justify the H4 move, my investment.
Right. That's right.
But
okay,
of course, if you can get the light squared bishops off. That's one of black's goals. It limits white's attacking potential. Also makes c4 a lot softer.
Exactly. No, bishop e4 is highly desirably strategic move, but tactically fails to g4 and f5. Very good. That clears the cobwebs. Let me get my moment tea.
Okay, I need tea and breakfast. It's okay. We'll handle the schedule. You know, I need to remind people. It started at 9 a.m. Eastern today. If you're in North America, there's an hour change tomorrow morning. So it's 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. So we lose an hour, but in the long run, I mean, we get an hour of sleep because it'll be 10 a.m. for most of the candidates. Very easy to miss that. Today, 9 a.m. Tomorrow, 1 hour later for those in North America. Because of we switch our clocks 2 weeks before the Europeans.
Yeah, well, I feel your discomfort. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon here, my time, so I had an early wake up. All right, what do we got? Okay, bishop d3, king f1, which is a very, very common idea in this opening as white. For example, my game against Victor Korchnoi is a classic for white. Queen a5 and knight c6. Knight c6 is the last move. Okay, you know, you need something very, very concrete to justify what white has done, which is losing castling. How is he going to justify it? Is he going to go
blank
h3?
Cromwell tries
go
and
D5?
cuts his way still nearer to the skies.
So black is prepared to play
learning a music in the region clear to tune this lower to that higher sphere.
This just looks great for black.
So when Amphion, the lute command which the god gave him with his gentle hand,
does protect his pawn, but the knight on e2 in the long run, I don't like its future. And it doesn't make sense to play all these provocative moves and then
the rougher stones into his measures hewed.
Yeah.
So I think he's exploring knight f3,
danced up in order from the quarries rude.
Rook h3.
This took a lower, that a higher place.
Ideas of d5 and rook e3 check.
As he the treble altered or the bass.
Ooh.
No T struck, but a new story laid.
Caught in the cookie jar.
And then all of a sudden, all the lines open up. But I mean, yeah, I think no matter what black.
The great work ascended while he played. Listening structures he with wonder eyed, and still new stops to various time applied.
Ding has not really done anything weird this
now through the strings a martial rage he throws, and joining straight the Theban tower arose.
Reacts to white.
Then as he strokes them with a touch more sweet, the flocking marbles in a palace meet.
He's got a
but for he most the graver notes did try, and therefore the temples reared their columns high. Thus ere he ceased, his sacred lute creates the harmonious city of the seven gates.
Advantage, I think, is in black's favor.
Such was that wondrous order and consent when Cromwell tuned the ruling instrument.
Has a big decision, I think.
While tedious statesmen many years did hack, framing a liberty,
after knight c6,
and still went back.
Just for everything, all the reasons that you're kind
numerous gorge could swallow in an hour.
I'm looking for
that island which the sea cannot devour.
Consequent.
Then our Amphion issues out and sings, and once he struck, and twice the powerful strings.
Much of which is based on d4, d5. Now, as ridiculous as it looks, can we just see why d4, d5 is a terrible failure?
I would consider playing this move.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I should expect that you're going to suggest that because it's the one that makes me work the most. And you need to make sure that.
I mean, look, Eric, no, seriously, this is very critical. I mean, as the players are trying to discover their form, what's much more important for our audience is that the commentators are in good form, right? So we've got to explore what kind of form we're in, just as well as the players. So knight e5. I'm agreeable to this move because if you take on d5, queen e2 check, and there,
problems.
there are problems. I mean, it's not. Yeah, I mean, things could go really south. This was like, for example, one line you're showing is ideal. But I think 95 is the proper reaction.
Yeah, I was going to mention that we have a lot of new viewers for this one. This is on Twitch.
Wonderful.
I expect we do. I actually am reading the chat, not paying attention to the numbers. I hope they're good. But these games can go 6 hours. The players spend a lot of time in the opening. I mean, in a position like this, it could be the difference between like a win and a loss. I mean, it's very concrete. And so yeah, the games go long. You have to definitely be prepared for. That's why we're investigating the opening quite a bit, because it's all you want to invest in as good of a start as possible for each player. And yeah.
Well, I remember the very first time they used this format in San Luis, Argentina. I believe it was 2006. And essentially, you got this fantastic field like you have today. And then you had this guy, man, Veselin Topalov. He was like unbelievable. The guy started, I'm not kidding, like with 5.5 out of 6. And essentially cruised to victory. Very, very emphatic win. And at that time, it was for the World Championship. The winner was the world champion. So, getting off to a big start, just changes completely the dynamics of the tournament, right? Yeah. I mean, I think the Sergei Karyakins of the field, would love to see a slow building tournament. Wesley So would love to see a +1, +2 kind of an event, not some guy going on a rampage like Shaq.
It's an interesting tournament to reference. Do you know why the San Luis
Argentina?
Tournament? Yes.
Do tell.
I wasn't following chess that much at that time.
Yeah.
But recently, the former manager of Vladimir Kramnik, Karsten Hensel, released an autobiography or book about his experiences, and he still maintains the
Toilet Gate.
No. He maintains the theory that Veselin Topalov cheated to win the world championship in Argentina. So the dirt has been brought back for a different tournament, but that I saw that on Facebook. I think from Peter Heine Nielsen's, he posted a thread or something. I think I saw it on Facebook, but that book was recently released, and that's actually pretty. I mean, that's obviously very serious. But it's public now. The book came out or something. So,
which is actually
one of the biggest scandals in chess history biggest controversies was between Kramnik and Topalov. For those who weren't around chess at the time, very rarely have we had such drama.
That was of course the Toilet Gate and Alista. But the funny part is just exactly in not exactly, but in those years before San Luis, we had, of course, Garry Kasparov losing to IBM as Deep Blue. And computers, were just ramping up and threatening the dominance of human players. So literally in 2006 and before, this fear, this absolute, worry, concern that, electronics, like the players should not be able to bring their phones in. FIDE had already gone to the extremes of, security, wand checks. And, that San Luis tournament was where, the paranoia of the worry that these guys would, like these great players would cheat was really taken very seriously. So this idea that somehow Silvio and Veselin had found a way to trick the the anti-cheating, I find hilarious. I mean, and all I kind of say to Karsten is, welcome to the world of paranoia. That's ridiculous, in my view. Okay, we do have a move, rook b1. Okay, basically Levon is showing that, he really, really wants to force the action. Rook b5 on tap.
I have to say, this is only the second game we've looked into, but one reason that we're still here and is these are exciting games. What a start, because Aronian is a rook b1 against Grunfeld player, but just to show what his intentions are, if you play a move like h6, he's not going to allow black to castle, or he's going to make it as uncomfortable as possible, whether it's rook b5, queen c3, knight e2, queen here, bishop here, maybe sacrificing 2 pawns for the initiative. There's all these potential variations.
This is a dream for white. This is not the thing you want to do with black on game one of the candidates.
Same thing could happen.
Right.
Here, it depends. Can you trap the queen?
Now, queen takes a2 is the most challenging move, actually, because now you've chased the queen from a5 to a2, but it's in your innards, right?
Yeah.
I mean, can you exploit that?
Maybe not. Maybe he will move the bishop back, but the point is,
I like what you're saying, that he's trying to find very forcing play at the start. Yeah. Wow, rook b1.
A lot to analyze. So many possibilities here. Just a wide open position. Yeah.
Are we still in Levon's analysis preparation?
Yes, I would guess so. Aronian.
Because rook b1 isn't the first move that comes to mind.
I would.
Yeah.
Well,
I would probably play knight e2 myself, but that's.
But rook e1, rook b1 for Aronian, I think is a very natural move in that he plays this in a lot of other lines. I think in the Tarash, and then against the Grunfeld, that's his main move.
What you mentioned, yeah.
So that probably factors it. But how many players would be able to get the president of their country to travel with them to the candidates and make a speech? Well, the president of Armenia is in attendance, and he's a big chess fan, chess player, head of the Chess Federation. So you can guess that the whole country, both with resources, but also is as fans, are following Levon Aronian here.
Yeah, no, that's just...
No one else has that.
No, it's fantastic. I must say, though, that I was in Oslo for the Nakamura versus Magnus Carlsen Fischer Random, and the Prime Minister, the Premier of Norway, did come and make the opening ceremonial first move. Not that she would necessarily travel with Magnus to London to support him in his World Championship, but in Norway, Magnus got a lot of political support, but Armenia is number one by far in this political support. Fantastic. Just marvelous.
Well, yeah, so I'd like to look at this more, but I don't want to potentially ignore other games, especially when we haven't covered two games featuring your countrymen.
Yeah, let's get to my boys.
All right. So, back to the 4-board view, which is sort of our default. Let's head over to Caruana against So.
Make it so. Make it happen, number one. Ooh. Okay, this is fun. Let's take it from the top. How did we get here? Looks like from a BOGO Indian move order, huh? Okay, and the players transpose into a Catalan with Queen b3. Slightly unusual. I think everybody and his brother for the last, I'm going to say 30 years, has been playing Queen c2. And I do believe it was Levon, of all people, who was experimenting with Knight a3 on move 8.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Knight a3 here. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done that a few times.
Yeah, Queen c2, again, that has been, the prescription that chess theorists And what's the difference between queen c2 versus queen b3? Well, obviously, on b3, white's rook can come to the c file, but I think more importantly for a lot of white players is they're seeking to play bishop d2 to b4. At certain times, the dark square bishops in the Catalan formations become awkward. White's bishop becomes awkward. So bishop b4 is kind of a benefit of queen b3. Otherwise, it doesn't seem to have much attractive property for me, this queen on b3 versus queen c2. But let's see how it went. Queen b3, and then we had knight bd7, standard, bishop f4, a5, rook d1, knight h5, all looks very good. And white, it was funny because, sorry Eric, before the move 12, knight d2, it was funny. So white's, black, Wesley, had induced the move bishop d2, right? He coaxed white to misplace his bishop.
Yeah.
Then after the move knight f6, white's bishop is back on c1, right? So the whole bishop b4 check kind of went nowhere. And now, okay, not playing for the draw with bishop f4. Fabi played knight bd2. Now, why did Fabi play knight bd2?
Because I think if you play knight c3,
yes,
there's a4.
That's right, and knight takes a4.
Knight takes a4, walks into dc4, which
with a very good game.
b5.
Yeah, no doubts, with a very good game for black. My question for you, Eric, is why not after knight c3, a4, queen c2?
Oh. Okay.
Now if you take, yes, and now I have this kind of a position after knight e5 that Boris Gelfand has played numerous times. Ooh, you can get away with that.
Yes, sir.
Ooh. Yes, sir.
You're not going to be very happy with what I do to you.
Oh, well, if he can get away with that.
So e4 doesn't quite work because of knight b4.
Because of knight b4. Very nice. Okay, and then I have to give it a rest. Yeah. This is winning, just simply winning for black. A pawn to the good and
pawn to the good. Everyone should adopt that saying. That's what I say now. Everyone
and it grows bishop on g2, by the way. Ugh.
The world population of pawn grabbers has increased almost exponentially since you've entered the Twitch sphere.
Well, I mean,
you have an army. You don't know everyone, but there's actually an army like everywhere of people who make a career out of taking pawns against their friends.
Yeah, pawn grabbers, and they're not anonymous either. Okay, knight bd2, b5. Now that's an in your face move. Now I understand, Eric, that you would blunder your e2 pawn right away, a la Nakamura.
It's not a real sacrifice because there's bishop a6 at the very end, and
right.
Actually, black would just be in very good shape here with
That's
his
right.
d4 pawn and very active pieces.
Very good shape. Now, it was against the grandmaster from Italy. I was trying to get my GM Norms, his name, and unfortunately he passed away, but he was a very sweet fellow. His name was Stefano Tatai. And I played this.
He was probably should have been a GM. I heard about him, but yeah.
Stefano Tatai. And I have played b5, and he played c5. I played b4, and I was really kind of happy about what I did. In other words, the game position. But later, I began to have quite a number of doubts about my position. Short term, we see this bishop is going very nicely to a6, and right now the bishop is stupid on c8. It's completely septic, right? And you think, well, once I get my bishop on a6, hey man, I'm really kind of pleased. But later I thought that white had too much pull in the center. So queen c2, very normal box-like move, bishop a6, e4. And I still have, ooh, no, c5 is hanging.
Correct.
Oh. Okay. Black, if white doesn't get in that, then, Can I do it another way, Eric? If you take on e4, yeah, e4. No, I don't have time for knight e5. Yeah, you'll have a bishop d3 perhaps.
A little
trick.
Unpleasant sensation.
Who invited you to the party?
I invited myself.
Yeah, well, clearly that's a.
But yeah, I mean, your point is you're trying to get a,
exactly
a position like this where you got these
my
targets.
Bishops are open. I have more pull.
And this is not as good as it seems if white manages to react in the center. That this looks like a diagonal, but if it doesn't prevent any of white's pieces from operating, then it's a little artificial.
Tatai got in a much better version than I'm getting for Fabi, because if I have to play a move like rook e1 in order to ensure e2, e4, then I don't really feel like I've got that much with white.
So for a lot of people who maybe aren't familiar with this, I mean, in some ways, there's a Chebenenko structure as well at play. It's a bit of a hybrid, in the sense that besides activating this light squared bishop, black would love to at some point get in e5. It's one of the strategical goals to undermine c5. Sometimes you can even do it right away.